Everybody has a core sin, a sin that they struggle with, a sin that constantly keeps occurring and reoccurring. One that we think, I've got it beat now, and then the next thing you know, you're falling back into the same old patterns that lead you to the same brokenness. Everybody's sin is unique. Everybody's sin is nuanced and in a sense tailored to them, because sin is a coping mechanism. It's a way of dealing with our separation from God. The separation that we sense in our soul and the separation we experience every single day when we step on to the broken, fallen ground that we came from. And deep down, our soul rages and longs to reunite with the God that created us in the beginning. And the way that we rage is through brokenness, through sins, specifically habitual sins, sins that we do over and over and over. My sin, my particular way of coping with this separation from God is worry. I've struggled with worry for years. Struggled with anxiety for years, even at times needing to take anxiety medicine because I simply would get so worked up and worried. And I know some people would say, Shane, you just need to pray more. Shane, you just need to listen. I beat myself up about it pretty consistently. But there's something about worry that makes me feel at home. Almost my body craves it. That whenever I wake up in the morning time, there's a lot of times where it's almost my mind doesn't know how to engage the morning until it finds something to latch on to and to begin to stress about and worry. This morning's passage is actually then speaking directly to me. It's a passage that I find to be somewhat convicting, somewhat difficult to read, but definitely something that leads to a posture of worship and grace and not berating. It's Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 and following. It says, therefore I tell you, therefore, it's connecting back to the previous, where it says that in verse 24, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. See, it's talking about masters, who you submit yourself to, who it is you are committing to. And their identity directly impacts how it is that you function. That's where the therefore I tell you. Do not worry about your life. If God is your master, do not worry about your life, about what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food? And the body more than clothes? And then he says this in verse 26. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Ooh, that might be the core of my own particular brand of worry. I'm not so sure I believe that question. Like there's an inferred, yeah, I'm more valuable than they, but deep down in the moments of my bout of worry, I'm not so sure that I trust that I do have a value that's beyond, well, no. I think I would say that I have a value beyond the birds, but I don't know that I would say that I have a value that God is paying attention to me. This is where I begin to realize that the kernel of my particular worry is a lack of basic trust that God is for me, that God is moving toward me, that God is fighting for me, longing to not just rebuke me, but to tenderly provide for me. You know, I read this passage and it goes on and it says, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And I know the answer to that question. The answer is no. I logically know that worrying makes no sense. And yet it haunts me. And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown in the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? You see, this passage is telling me that the cure for worry is twofold. Number one, the cure for worry is to see myself clearly. Now, I'm not talking about an anxiety disorder. I'm talking about worry. My brand of worry that I struggle with, part of the cure is to see myself clearly, to see my value for who it is that God says that I am. Because deep down there is a core in my worry that I have to fight for myself because I'm not worthy of being fought for by God. And the second thing that I feel that this text is challenging me with in my brand of worry is that I need to see God more clearly. Yeah, it's easy to just look at this text and say, see, God provides for you, Shane. And honestly, in my bouts of worry, that's not ultimately that helpful. No, what I hear this text saying is, Shane, don't you see that our God is a God who is present? He is present to the things that you overlook. He's present to the things that you don't even know needs attention. He's present to every element, every particle of his creation, nurturing it, taking care of it, guiding it, so that it has the opportunity to embrace his tender love. What this text challenges me is that I need to see and trust the value that God speaks that I have. And I need to also see him clearly. I'm thankful that we have the God of the Sabbath that rests, but chooses never to rest when he looks to take care of us. For we have a God that is always present, that delights in always moving. We have a God that takes care of the birds of the air, even though they don't know how to ask. We have a God that takes care of the grass and the lilies of the field, even though they don't know how to say thank you. We have a God that is nurturing to my needs, even though I may not even know that I need them. He is tender. He is passionately pursuing. And he's worthy of our trust. Here's my challenge for you this week. I'm not going to sit here and say, don't worry. No, instead, my challenge for you this week is this. See yourself clearly by seeing God clearly. And embrace and celebrate the moments where he meets a need that you did not know you needed. Or when he takes care of your heart in a way in which you did not expect. Celebrate the presence of a God that is always present. I love you guys. I'll talk to you next week.